Dozens of cars filled the Levittown lot on Saturday as the town marks its 75th anniversary. British cars, military vehicles, and some more unique automobiles were on display for spectators. Jackie Nogan helped organize the event, which included live music, vendors, and awards for the best vehicles.
This is all to celebrate Levittown's 75th anniversary. Levittown was opened for people to come and live in 1947. And our great leader, Louise Cassano, has been doing a wonderful job of putting together not just this event, but many events throughout the whole year that are celebrating Levittown's 75th anniversary.
The passion of the car show participants filled the air, and many smiled as they discussed the labors that went into bringing their vehicles to top shape.
It's a 2016. I got it in 2015, and this is my fourth Corvette, and it's Long Beach Red. And it's a 2LT with performance exhaust and navigation.
I started racing at 16 in 1974, and I've been racing ever since. I didn't obviously start in a car like this.
And it's a family sport. It's like tailgating, every weekend at the racetrack with our friends and family.
Some cars are even several decades old and have required repairs over time.
Well, it was Levittown's first when they originally started it in 1950. Hardly any rust. They took good care of it up in South Warnell also.
People who displayed their vehicles also discussed the impact of the show on the community.
I think it's a great thing. It brings family together. I mean, it brings back memories. A lot of people.
It's great for the community to have people come out and get out after COVID and stuff.
For the Levittown community, the show represented a way to discuss a passion with fellow hobbyists. For Journalism 14, I'm Michael Richardson. Reporting for WRHU, I'm Michael Richardson at the memorial for Gabby Petito. Today, it's a very somber day for the Petito family, but at the same time, it's a day of hope. Surrounding the memorial are beautiful images of Gabby, ones with angel wings commemorating her strength, and there are even blue teal ribbons surrounding the memorial. There's even one that was lifted up earlier today, right as the service began. In many ways, the light teal ribbons signify hope. Just like the sky today, it's a beautiful, beautiful sunny day. It's that sun that will resonate with so many people when it comes to Gabby, that light she provided for so many Long Islanders and why so many people have come to her memorial today. It's that hope that the family hopes justice will be done and that Gabby's life will be forever remembered. Reporting for WRHU, I'm Michael Richardson. Thanks, Juliana. We got multiple things to tell you about tonight, and let's start with the great state of Alabama. In the state of Alabama, Republican challenger Tommy Tuberville has defeated Democratic incumbent Doug Jones. Certainly a smile on the face of many GOPers tonight, as any Senate seat that is part of the Republican Party is going to get them one step closer to the 51 seats they need for a majority. But perhaps one of the bigger stories of the night is going to be North Carolina. Now look, here's the deal. North Carolina is a pretty Republican state. It voted Republican every election since 1976, all but once in 2008 when it narrowly sided with candidate Barack Obama. But currently, the state is leading the president by only 1/10 of a point. Now, what does this mean? Well, first of all, the current president is likely losing support. It's likely losing a bit of support in suburban areas, but he's able to maintain that support in rural areas where he was really able to not only convince voters of his cause, but why the former vice president is not suited to the state of North Carolina. Counties such as Wake are likely to overwhelmingly side with the former vice president, but nevertheless, the president is still performing just a little bit better than the former vice president in the state of North Carolina. But I want to take you a little bit across the country to the great state of Arizona. Arizona, the prospect of Arizona becoming a battleground wasn't even a discussion until the latter months of the campaign. But currently, the former vice president is leading in the state of Arizona, and specifically, he's leading in Maricopa County. Maricopa County accounts for over 60% of the electorate in the state of Arizona. Simply put, it's incredibly difficult to win the state without Maricopa County. Currently, the former vice president is doing it. And not only is he doing it, he's doing it by nearly double-digit margins. If the former vice president is able to take Maricopa County, he is incredibly likely to take the Grand Canyon State. Why is he taking Maricopa County? Well, first of all, Arizona has one of the fastest growing Hispanic populations in the western United States. Over 31% of the electorate in Arizona is of Hispanic population. Now, it's not just the former vice president where the Democrats are very happy right now in the state of Arizona, but it's also the Senate. Mark Kelly, the former astronaut, is currently leading by nearly 15 points against incumbent Martha McSally. You heard that right, 1-5. That is a huge margin, even with only 40% of precincts reporting in the state of Arizona. Now, while it's still early, this could change. 2016 taught us that anything's possible, but currently the Democratic Party is likely very happy right now. That's all for me over here. Back to you at the National Desk. On November 9th, Americans will wake up and all the votes in the midterm elections will have been cast. How could the midterm elections impact the country? President of Scarab Rising, Irina Zuckerman, discusses what she believes could happen at the state and local levels as a result of the midterms.
More so than abortion and gun control, I think general anti-woke movement is gaining steam, and we can see a lot more gains on lower level in school boards, local offices, things of that nature, just as a pushback against kind of aggressive legislating on transgender movement and so forth. We are also likely to see a lot more fighting, both in Congress and on local level, over state ID laws.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Bulgaria and Brazil and professor at the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy at the University of Michigan, Melvin Levitsky, believes that the midterms will have little impact on foreign policy.
Foreign policy does play a role. There's not a distinction that it makes a lot of difference between the two parties in terms of, well, this party advocates this, and over here, this party advocates a completely different program.
Across the nation, candidates are campaigning on the false belief that the 2020 election was stolen. If those candidates are put into office, could elections be decertified? President of Redo Voting, John Rogers, believes that decertifying elections would undermine security.
It would be profoundly against the interests of the individual decertifying the election unless there was absolute rock-solid proof behind it. It would be an extraordinarily unpopular thing to do and would undermine the digital security of the entire state.
Rogers also discusses what the future of elections could hold depending on which party controls Congress.
If you have the Republicans in charge, I think it's a pretty good bet that they are going to look for ways to make sure that elections are more secure. If the Democrats are in charge, they're going to look for ways to make sure the elections are more accessible. It's not that Democrats don't care about security or that Republicans don't care about accessibility. It's just those are their main concerns.
Finally, what could the midterms signify for the 2024 presidential race? Zuckerman believes that Republicans want to move on from former President Trump.
I think many Republicans are hoping that President Trump is not going to make a comeback just to move on, but they can't necessarily control him because many people are not happy about his mishandling of Senate races and among other issues, not to mention the various and assorted scandals he's associated with, and they want to move on. He hasn't expanded his base beyond his hardcore supporters.
Only time will tell what the 2022 elections end up bringing forth. For now, Americans look only towards the horizon, the waves endlessly battering on the shore. For WRHU, I'm Michael Richardson. In June 1987, the 40th President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, stood in front of the Brandenburg Gate in West Berlin and called for the fall of the Berlin Wall. 2 years later, in November 1989, the Berlin Wall came crashing down, ushering in the end of communism in Eastern Europe. In the present day, Russia has invaded the independent country of Ukraine, prompting fears that Eastern Europe will come under brutal control once again. Join with me today to discuss her candidacy for New York State Lieutenant Governor is former NYPD Deputy Inspector Allison Esposito. Deputy Inspector Esposito, I first want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Now moving towards Baldwin, a wake service for a Baldwin High School graduate who was killed in Buffalo earlier this month is being held tonight in Hempstead. 19-year-old Tyler Lewis was killed at the University at Buffalo via stab wounds in what police say was a targeted incident. University police are still investigating the murder and have identified a suspect, but have yet to make any arrests. The wake takes place tonight at the Union Baptist Church here in Hempstead. and Lewis's funeral will be tomorrow at the church, starting at 10 a.m. For the first time since 1994, all 4 of Long Island's congresspeople will be Republican. This year's election follows what many saw as a red wave across the island in 2021, when the GOP was able to flip seats, such as the Nassau County executive seat. According to the Associated Press, Republicans have won 211 seats in the House of Representatives, 8 shy of a majority to the Democratic Party's 196 seats.